Britain's Parliament recalled in emergency session, the chamber is packed. The Prime Minister says a possible attack against Syria would be legal and that President Assad has used chemical weapons on a number of occasions.
I think we can be as certain as possible that when we have a regime that has used chemical weapons on 14 occasions, that is most likely responsible for this large-scale attack, that if nothing is done, it will conclude that it can use these weapons again and again and on a larger scale and with impunity. And when people talk about escalation, to me the biggest danger of escalation is if the world community, not just Britain but America and others, stand back and do nothing.
The government has released a summary of an intelligence report. It says the weight of circumstantial evidence points to Assad's forces using chemical weapons. But as the Prime Minister admits, this is ultimately a judgment call. There is no consensus in Parliament. The opposition are unhappy, and in David Cameron's own Conservative Party, many think Britain should hold back, even at the risk of upsetting the Americans.
America could probably undertake this without Britain's support. I think they would like Britain's support there. We are allies, but having said that, I think it's important that we stick to the principle of the issue and not do something just because we're friends. And in our view, many of us here in Parliament, it is clearly wrong to rush into military action before we've seen the evidence and before we've asked questions about the legality of such action without a UN resolution.
The British government's plans have been at least delayed by the realities of democracy. David Cameron probably can't afford a defeat in Parliament if he's to pursue military action against Syria. The legacy of Iraq is very important here. At that time, many British politicians and the wider British public felt that they were misled and cheated. And that helps explain the caution and suspicion in Britain today. The protests are small, but many people feel the government has not yet made out a convincing case that military action might be the right course.
We've got to learn the lessons of Iraq, because people remember the mistakes that were made in Iraq, and I'm not willing to have those mistakes made again. And one of the most important lessons from Iraq is about giving the United Nations, which is the body that we are part of, the proper chance to do its work.
Where is the evidence that convinces...
For all the heat, noise and passion in Parliament, David Cameron has promised another debate and vote on possible military action after the UN weapons inspectors have issued their report. That could happen next week. I mean, this is just an opening skirmish. Barnaby Phillips, Al Jazeera.